Good morning. A warm welcome to you all. Hi, Joni. Thanks for joining us. Keon, thank you so much. I'm going to bring in my friends here who are going to be part of our presentation today. I'm going to bring in Max Pisano. Hi, Max. Good
Hi,
morning.
Matt. How are you?
I'm feeling a little fragile. Last night I had a dream that I swallowed a very large marshmallow, and this morning when I woke up, my pillow was gone. So, guys, I'm feeling a little fragile, but that won't stop me from showing up and hopefully doing some really great hair for you. I also want to bring in Vicky. Vicky's with us today. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So Vicky's in Canada. Vicky has just joined our art team, and she's going to be going through some amazing training over this next year. And I wanted you to meet her, and I wanted her to be the voice of the hairdresser today, to be able to ask questions, add her a little bit of an insight to her great experience. She is a salon owner. So we've got, well, Armed and Dangerous. Max Pisano is going to be doing some really awesome color. I'm going to be doing a haircut, and I will not be eating any more marshmallows. So let's just dive into this. I'm going to keep your mic open, or you can kind of control your mic, Vicky, and you can pop in and ask questions as you go. So let's just now go over to Max and just see what he's going to be doing for us. Right, Max, over to you first of all.
All right, so what we're going to be doing today is when we surveyed our audience, we found that a lot of you guys wanted to see a little bit more of a block color placements. So we're going to do just that today. So on my doll, you can see here, I have sectioned off two triangles that are intersecting, and they meet up right at her side part. So think of like a check mark. So the wide part of the triangles are in the front here and here, and then the narrow parts are back here. And this is going to create the focal point for our color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just foil back-to-back slices using three colors. The first color is going to be a lilac color. The second color, a pewter color. The third color will be a denim blue color. And I'm just going to alternate slices through these triangles, basically until I run out of hair in both. And then I'm going to do a global application of a gloss to refine some of this yellow from her double process.
Thanks so much, Max. It sounds super interesting. So I'm going to share with you what I'm going to do. Let me just come in and spotlight myself for a moment. So I'm going to be working on sort of like a shag kind of a vibe. So what that's going to be is, I wanted to show you something really soft and something that you can absolutely use on so many of your clients, right? I don't want to show you something that's artsy and think, well, if there's only one person in the world that can possibly wear that. So I wanted to just sort of show you something along that perspective. So I'm going to do soft, very soft around the face, and it's going to be more of a round shape. So there won't be the traditional corner. And let me just go into what I'm going to do. I'm going to first of all start off by taking a very small piece of hair and twisting it, and then just gently down the side, very, very lightly, very, very soft, coming in and just sort of looking at how that's playing out. And obviously allowing for the shrinkage. There she shrank. Whoops. Isn't that lovely when she shrinks more than you think? But I don't want that actually going in her eyes. So there we have our next piece. And that from there, from that softness, I'm now going to take this hair forward here, and I'm going to glide out very steeply and really get my sort of curtain fringe sorted out. So I have to immediately play with that hair and just look at how is that working. I have to stop, step back, work into my mirror. How's it working in my mirror? How is that kind of doing? And I think that's going to work actually. So I'm going to come to the corner of the eye. And I'm going to continue with that nice sloping and gliding through. And then I'm going to stop right there. So now that's going to come through here. And I actually need to do a bit of a flip with it. Let's flip that over. Flip, and then just see how that's going to live. Now, I already know that this is going to be very, very, very soft through here. So that means this length has come to my cheekbone area. And I'm looking at where it's going to live when it's finished, styled, not where it's going to live when it's wet. So there's always two conversations, isn't there? How it is when it's wet, how it is when it is dry can be very, very, very different. So what we want to do is just make sure that we get that balance beautiful as we're going through there. So I'm going to now come through here and I'm going to over direct this forwards. And I want this to be super soft. So my sectioning is a halo section all the way around the head. I want to achieve all of my softness and design 100% to the face shape. So in here, over directing this forwards, and where that's going to live, I think that's going to work well. So here I'm going to come through very long, long, long strokes, very long, very long. And now coming around the face and look at how that's responding through there, which is obviously all that nice softness. So I want this, as I said, to be super, super soft. So I'm going to go back into this, over direct this forwards, and again, come in long and soft, swinging through, long and soft, long and soft. And before I do my second side, I just really want to make sure that this is going to be right. So that's over directed forwards. It's very, very soft. I'm going to flip this back again. So I just need to take these moments to say, right, is this working before getting carried away? So I need to spend more time looking at the shape than looking at the section between my fingers. If my whole focus is here, that's detail and it's construction and it's technique, but this is the big picture and I need that big picture. Now I want this to float back. So here, I'm going to over direct this forwards. And I'm going to come in again, very long strokes. So for those of you in my training, you know I like to kind of do a marker as to this is where the length is going to be, this is where the length is going to be, so that it's very, very precise about where that's going to be. With what I'm doing today, I have a very strong picture in my mind. And I know in my mind, so I'm actually using my imagination. I know in my mind exactly where I want this to land. And what I'm also doing is as I'm coming through here, so you can see over directing in front of the shoulder, long and soft strokes, very long, right the way through to there. And so now I've got this length. So it's falling backwards and it's not your bob. It is not a bob. It's more in the, you know, when we were doing the wolf haircut, it's a little bit more in that category. So this is short and this is long. That's what I want to see. I don't want it to be a mullet, but I want that short and this long, which is going to come from what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go in and check this, and then I'm going to pass over to Max, and then we'll bring Vicky back into the conversation. I just want to check this first. Long, long, soft. Notice that as I'm going through here with my razor is swinging super, super light and super, super soft so that I create all this softness. So now the fun is matching the other side, right? That's the fun part. So I'm now going to come in here, and this is where it becomes very important. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to come here and bring my length forwards like this and say, right, that is a focal point right there. I'm just going to bring that forward there. Okay, a little bit more. I want to just make sure now, as I'm going to cut this, I have something to aim for. And in the back, I'm going to bring all of this forwards. And in the back, Oh, this piece here. Where's this? And that's from the other side. It is. It's from the other side. From here, I want to also give myself a focal point. So I'm going to come forwards here, and come through softly there, and in here, have a head straight. Look at where I am in the balance part. Now, generally, when I'm doing this part of the hairstyle, I'm not talking. I'm concentrating. I can't talk about the weather. I have to really focus on what I'm doing through here. So that's flipping. That's working. That's coming through here. I got a scoop. That's what I'm working on, the scoop. And I'm now going to repeat this on the other side. So now let's bring Max in and see what he's doing. Okay, Max.
All right, so I'm about halfway through my first triangle. And again, I just am doing my tri-color alternation. So this was my pewter. So I'm gonna close up this packet, and then I'm moving into the denim blue. And I'm just going lilac, pewter, denim blue. And then when I get through this triangle, I'll actually alternate my sequence of placement on the opposite one. So I'll start with denim blue, then do pewter, then do lilac. But this is such a really, really simple, fast technique that you can make it whisper, talk, or scream, depending on your color selection and how bold you are with the placement. So it's definitely very salon friendly. And I know that our audience, not only were they asking for different block color placements, but also for like more speed techniques that they can use behind the chair. So this is definitely one of those.
What is the shelf life of this hairstyle the hair color that you're doing? Does it have a long?
It's really going to depend upon the canvas you're applying it on, and also the product category you're using. So for instance, I'm using direct dyes on bleached hair. Typically, those can last anywhere from, 4 to 12 shampoos. So you could always switch to a more permanent hair color though, and make it last longer. So really the world's your oyster. In this case, when we're, I'm gonna say this client is a double process, and she probably likes to change her color quite a bit. This would be great for her because, it'll fade out, and then we could do a entirely different technique, or do the same technique and use a different color selection.
So when we were having a conversation about today and the color ideas that we had, we were speaking quite a bit about imagine this color palette on a lady that has a lot of silver gray, and how for those ladies who have been celebrating going back to natural, they want that sparkle. And I think it really crosses over so well. As long as they've got a cool haircut, it really works very, very well for those clients. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I've done this placement on a woman who is very salt and pepper in the back, but really white in the front. And she just wanted a little bit more pepper put back in the front so she was balanced out. And it worked great. I just literally low lit her with permanent hair color in kind of a silver ash shade, and it put the pepper right back in.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to bring Vicky back into our conversation. And Vicky, any questions so far about what Max is doing? And then any questions about what I'm doing?
Yes. Max, how did you decide on this placement?
I really looked at, number one, I always look at the shape of the haircut and where I want to put my sort of focal point at. And with this, it's a cute little graduation, but there's a bit of a longer front and a lot of layers in the front. And I wanted these to kind of, you know, emerge from within. So again, it's under her part so that you get almost like flashes or shots of color, as opposed to like with the traditional highlight, you're getting like a spill of color everywhere.
So did you leave her part line out then?
It's her, yeah. I mean, the two triangles meet, so one little section of color will sit like right on her part. But this part here that's clipped back, her part line's actually running through that. So this top will spill over that.
Fun. And Vivian, do you have a type of razor you prefer?
I like this razor here. It is a nape razor, and it's a blade that has a little serration on it, and I love it because I can do precision, I can do abstract, and I can do so many different things. And when I close my fist, the blade is not going into my hand. So this is a classic way to hold a razor with 3 fingers on the top, the pinky on the underneath, and the thumb bending through here. And you'll notice that when I'm razoring, I'm very soft and very, very, very light. And this right now, just to refine this and get the softness that I want out of this hairstyle. Obviously with the scissors, you can slither down and do quite a lot of work. But what I'm finding is that when you really do work with the razor softly and lightly, you can cut an inside shape and an outside shape simultaneously. And that's why this razor works so very, very, very well in what we're doing. And you'll notice I'm taking quite a lot of time with this because I really need to get this right. And because it's abstract, it has to be similar, but it's not exactly the same because it's obviously very, very, very soft. So I don't know whether you've been noticing this, Vicky, on some of the reels that you see out there, you see these really amazing, clever little techniques. And then if you ever try to recreate them, you go, oh my gosh, there was like, I had to do 4 haircuts to get to that one place. And so I'm about trying to get the effect immediately and not have to do 20 different things in order to get there. So I keep repeating the same thing over and over again until I get the softness that I like, because after this, I'm going straight into layers. I'm done with my outline shape. Does that make sense?
It does. I love that you always map everything out and you remind us to look out for shrinkage and to play with the hair and see where it lives. All of these are just such important things that we probably tend to not think about sometimes before we pick up our tools.
Well, yeah, and I never want to be in a place where I'm fixing something that I put in. And, you know, with scissors, which obviously I love, they give you structure. And obviously you can slide into the hair with scissors. And obviously you can do pointing and all those other clever sliding and chiseling methods. But the scissors are really designed to give you a blunt line. And so the moment you take a scissor and start to slither and all the other things, you're turning it in a way into a razor. And they're great techniques. I'm not discrediting the technique. But sometimes what you see in, and again, I'm going to go back to the reels, because you see these really brilliant reels and you think, oh my gosh, that's so clever. Excuse me. And then you try and do it yourself. You go, oh my gosh, I've had to do 4 haircuts in order to get there. And that I don't think is wise when there is a method that will get you there immediately. So that now is working. Now, let's just talk about this. The amount I pull down is the softness I want in my perimeter. So if I did another circle all the way around, and I will just do one more circle all the way around to talk about the technique, then I will go into the layers. But I could be done right now. So the amount of the circle of hair that you bring down is generally the volume or the lightness that you want within the hairstyle. Now, with this hairstyle, what I know to be true is that some people, when you give them a soft hairstyle or whips around the face, it can just look thin. And for some people, when you do softness, it just looks soft. Excuse me. So you have to make sure that the hair has some weight to it so that it can support a very soft effect. Because otherwise it just looks like thin hair versus wispy hair. So the density and the way that the hair hangs is very, very, very important. And if I was doing this with scissors, I would never get the softness that I'm right now achieving. And this haircut right now is all about getting this perimeter gorgeous. So let's just go back and recap what I'm doing here. Number one, from those short pieces that I twisted, I'm now over directing this over, and I am gently with long strokes. And you'll notice as I'm gliding through, it's almost like I'm painting. I'm over directing the hair forwards, and I'm doing very, very soft, soft, soft strokes that are very long. Then as I'm coming through here, everything from the center back is being brought forwards. And again, long and soft. Over the shoulder, focal point. Again, long and soft. And this is giving me a lovely round effect in the back. So center back, over directing this forwards. And again, going into lots and lots of softness. Does that make sense?
Yes. Is there any type of hair that you wouldn't use your razor on?
Yes, that's a good question. Actually, I would be very mindful of coarse, wiry hair. So is that coarse gray hair? Possibly. Is it just hair that's very brittle? But I razor, because I have 7 methods with the razor. I have a razor method that gives you structure. I have a razor method that will be very, very soft and light, just as this one is. So I have been able to razor hair that's really quite fine and soft, and actually had tremendous success with the razor. Whenever I'm questioning, is this the right hair for the razor? What I will do is I will do a strand test in the nape of the neck. And if it's a client that's not sure about the razor, she's either had a bad experience or she's read somewhere that the razor rips the hair. I will do a strand test and I say to the client, let's have your hair tell us which it prefers. So I'll do a snip with the scissors and then I'll do a snip with the razor and then I will determine which is happier. And if the hair loves the razor, I would explain the why, oh, your hair really loves the razor and this is what's happening. And for that client that has that, oh, I don't know if I like this idea of the razor, I will say, let me just do 10% and let me explain why, what the features and the benefits are with this. And if you don't like it, it's only 10%, right? And whenever I do that, it's amazing how it disarms that resistor client or the client, as I say, who's had a bad experience with the razor. I mean, I've been to major hair shows and seen artists working with big brands rip and hack into the hair. And I've gone, oh my gosh, no, I can't believe they're doing that. They're shredding the hair. And it should be, I mean, hopefully what comes across as I'm working today is how soft and light I'm playing with the hair. Just very, very, very soft and light. And, always measure, because as I said, this is a very abstract hairstyle. Very, very loose. So I just want to make sure the unevenness and the softness is really playing out very well. Do you like working with a razor, Vicky?
Yes, I love it. But you're absolutely right. You do need to know how to hold it properly and tension, etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to make sure also this is going to be adorable flipping and also adorable when it's going to come around the face. So you can see now we've got really quite a sweet little flip that's coming through. Very, 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 very soft. So I think that works quite nicely. Max, let's go back over to you for a moment. And see what you're doing.
I'm actually on my last foil. So I am applying the lilac color to the last slice of my triangle. which is going to complete the actual block color placement. And then what I'm going to do is go in with just a global application of a demi-permanent gloss product to refine this yellow from the bleach out.
What is the thing you're being asked for the most right now in the salon?
Color-wise,
Yes.
you know, I still do, there's two things I do the most of, which, you know, like historically in our industry, it's coverage of white hair and blonde highlights. So that business is still alive and well. So lots of highlights, lots of seasonal changes, you know, like a lot of people in autumn and winter, they want to put some low lights in, you know, they want to be brighter in spring and summer. So kind of that sort of, those sort of traditional changes based on the seasons.
Okay. What would you say is your average ticket price on your color services?
For, like, I charge for a half head $275 and my full head is $350.
And that would be your average ticket?
Yeah, because those are the only two services I offer other than like a global hair color.
Okay.
You know, so I try to price those deliberately. I try to price my global color applications high also, like at about 120, because I don't want to do them. I'd rather be doing, you know, dimensional work all day long. So the ones that want to pay for it, great. But it's kind of my own way of sort of weeding out that part of my clientele. If that makes sense.
So Misty has a question for you, Max, on how you fold your foils. She said you smooth your foils over with your comb. Her question is, doesn't that move the color?
I'm very gentle with it. So I'm not like applying a lot of pressure. I'm just trying to get them flat to the head without squishing them, so that also too, because I'm going to have to move these around when I go and do my placement. So I don't want anything bleeding out, but you know, you have to get them at least secured. So it's just a balancing act and finding that right amount of touch and pressure, and also practice. I mean, believe me, I've smushed some stuff out onto someone's scalp before, more than once.
I think we all have. Are you making it whisper or scream in your placement?
This is going to definitely be a little more, I would say like she's yelling.
And if you were to just alternate each color in each triangle, that would probably be a bigger section, right? That would just be a lot bolder, or what do you think that would look like?
I don't, repeat the question, please.
So like, because you're alternating foils, so alternating colors.
Yeah.
If you were just to do each color in each triangle.
Gotcha, yeah. It would just be a bigger piece.
Bolder.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd like to share with you what I'm doing right now, which is layering into my outline shape and sliding out to the perimeter that I've already established. One of the things that I worry about when I see hairdressers just going in and layering and they haven't established an outline shape is the guarantee that it's going to land exactly where you want it to be. And sometimes it's a recovery process. So what I did here was I've got my facial frame, and I'm just now showing you how this looks on the, just going to come in so you can see closer. I've got the facial frame taking place here, right? There it is. That's it coming forwards. So I'm now using that as my little guide. So the first section, so let me show you on this side. Let's hope I can do it the same. Right, so I'm just going to separate this out, and I'm going to take my section right at the ear, because that's where the bulk is. I'm going to pull this hair out. So there is my guideline right here on the underneath. So I'm pulling the hair out this way. But before I cut this, I want to actually come in and just feel the length here. And just make sure that I'm going to come in the right way. And that's going to make it too long. I need to come in shorter. Let me just come a little bit different there. Bring that section out again. I'm going to look at my length. And then I'm going to come in here and just feel my length this way. And I'm just going to look at where my length is going. Right, so that's getting closer. So I'm going to come through here now and just reduce that bulk. And at the ear section, long, soft strokes. Now I'm going to come in immediately, same place on the head. But just look at my length here. I'm going to look here and here. I'm going to even come back, and I'm too long. Always better to be a bit longer to start with. You can always nibble it down, right? So just a little tiny bit there. And what I hope that I'm conveying to you today is how light I'm working with this razor. And so one of my goals has always been strong technique, so there's no reason to detail. Because detail is a second haircut. And while you can obviously refine something when it's dry, you don't want that to be a protocol for every hairstyle to go in and have to do a second haircut. Vicky, for yourself, you've been training with us now for a while, and I'm sure the way you're working now is a little different than before. How much detailing work were you doing, and how much detailing work are you doing now?
I mean, I've always really liked to personalize my cuts. Sometimes I will use razor and scissors in the same cut. I always go in and refine it when it's dry. But as for the mapping it out and watching where it lives and stepping back and playing with it, all of that stuff, I probably wasn't doing as much as I am now.
Okay. Okay, that's good, yeah. And one of the things too that I found, because I edit my own content in video, I can look at why did I do that? Cut that off right now. Like, why are you doing three things? I've been able to watch myself so much over the years that I say, how can I be more efficient? How can I get this so it really, really does work? And I think that's the thing that's been very, very helpful for myself. Because, obviously when you do a basic haircut and then you go back in and do another haircut and another haircut, I think there's one thing just to refine. But as I said, there's a whole other thing when you start to really do a second haircut. So what's happening is you're putting in a basic shave, and then at the end of it, when it's dry, you're actually then going in and softening the hairstyle that you originally cut blunt. So my argument is, why put in a blunt hairstyle if you know at the end you want it soft? It doesn't make it, it's irrational. And so what I try and do is, if I know it's going to be very soft and very loose and very airy, that's my approach from the very beginning. So at the end, there really is not very much to do. So you can see here, I'm pulling this hair out. The top is actually slightly longer, and I'm laying right the way into my perimeter because I know I want this to be very, very soft and shaggy. Now, this can be intimidating to do this haircut because you're taking away a lot of hair. But the fascinating thing about this is when it is done, she actually has so much texture, and you can do this with so much volume because you've got all of these lovely layers. What happens to a layered hairstyle? I know with my own hairstyle, the way it is right now, when the layers get longer, the hairstyle collapses. And I don't have the same degree of volume that I had before. And I'm sure you had a client come in and say, oh, can you just layer it a bit more, but keep the outside length, the length that it is? I just want more bounce there. Have you had clients say that to you, Vicky?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I get it. Excuse me. I get why that happens because of the softness of what layers do, and that's the first thing to start collapsing, and that's the first thing dimension wise to change the face shape and change the head shape, and that's a really big thing. So, any questions for our friends in the chat? And welcome, Misty. Good to have you here.
Not as of now, but I have a question.
Please.
You're pulling it straight out,
Yeah.
straight out square from the head. What made you decide to do it that way?
So that I have so much lightness. I don't want it like short on the top and then coming to longer. I want all of this lightness around the face. And you can see now how it's kind of playing out. But what I'm doing now is I'm slowly pivoting and working backwards. But say, for example, a pie-shaped haircut, a pie-shaped layer is excellent for creating short layers on the inside, coming to longer layers or layering out a perimeter shape. So it's inside to outside, inside, outside. That's a pie-shaped layered haircut. I don't want this top super short. I just want to remove all of the weight through this whole region through here, and the top will be slightly heavier. So it gives you a very, very different effect. And as I'm coming through here, because the perimeter is shorter to longer, I'm taking very long sections and I'm slightly over directing this back forwards so that I can keep the integrity of the round shape. And again, very long strokes with the razor. So I'm super light and very, 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 very soft with the razor. And you'll notice I move around a lot. You'll notice also I'm standing as far away as I possibly can as I'm layering through here. I don't want to be close to my work. So that's another very important thing. Don't crowd your work. Stop, do your detailing, step back, use your mirror. And that to me is, you've always, when you're designing, got to keep doing reality checks because most of, I would say, gosh, it's easy for 80% of our energy, our time, our visual to be just looking here. And if you don't stop and step back, and if you don't stop and use your mirror, and look at how that shape is playing through. So look, you saw me in the beginning sweeping this hair back, and now you can see how it's falling now coming this way. So I've got to stop looking, and I've got to have such a love affair with my mirror so that I'm always looking at my shape. And I can tell such a difference between hairdressers who are very visual, they're always stopping and looking at their shape, versus those who are very technical and they just get consumed by the technique itself. So there's a huge, huge difference. So does that make sense, Vicky?
Yes.
All right, so that side's complete, and now I'm going to go into my second side, and now, of course, it's matching, of course. So as I'm coming through here, again, being very aware of where is my sectioning coming through from. Now, this is an important reality check. You can only consciously think of one thing at a time, consciously. In the subconscious, where our habits live, is where we do things automatically. You know, when we get in the car and we drive our familiar route to work every day, most of that is in the subconscious. You're not thinking about which foot goes on the pedal and, you know, all the different things you have to think about. When I go back to my country, because we drive on the opposite side of the road, I am so aware of like, okay, so my foot's got to go here, my hand's here, everything's on the reverse side. So I am so aware of everything I'm doing until it becomes automatic again. So there's huge value in routine and being and having things that are deep within our subconscious. But if we live there when we're doing hair, it's very dangerous because you're not aware and conscious and intentional about what you're doing. And it's hard to do that when you're chatting with a client. It's very, very hard to do that when you're not focused. So when I'm doing things like now that require so much concentration, I mean, I'm talking about what I'm doing, which is really very, very helpful. And when I'm designing a hairstyle for my clients, I love to verbalize and detail it as much as I can so they really understand what I'm doing and why. And as much as I'm doing it to help them have a vision, I'm doing it for me. It's my rehearsal of, this is going to live here, this is going to live there, we're going to do this and this and this and this. And it's my rehearsal. Max, excuse me, when you're doing your color, do you kind of map it out and kind of do that sort of process the same way?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you don't do it, what happens?
It's usually a redo.
Excuse me. Usually a redo. How about you, Vicky?
Yeah, it's usually a redo. Or a covered up. Left it out.
But I think that, we speak in my educational world about the different hairdresser types, and they're all fabulous. The entertainer, someone who's charismatic, and they entertain their client. And it puts a lot of pressure upon them because they have to be the host with the mostest, right? And they're entertaining their client, engaging. They have incredible people skills. The clients love them, blah, 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 blah. But they are more of an entertainer, which sometimes means that they can miss something within the hairstyle, or they live in automatic pilot because they're busy entertaining. Then there is the technician who is like so focused on the haircut, they barely say anything to their client because they're so focused, and which is wonderful. And they are the ones that are really like buried into the technique, but sometimes they can miss the human touch. And then of course there's the puppet. What does the client want? And they're just trying to accommodate the client, and the client is pulling their strings. So we've all been there, haven't we? And then of course there's the I call it the pedal store. The client who has seen you on social media, the client who you've done some amazing makeovers, and they now think that you can perform a miracle. And so they put you on a pedal store, which is a really hard place to be. I mean, I know that Max, since he went back to his salon, he's been doing a lot of corrective work. So now he's in some people's eyes the Messiah. He can fix any problem. But that's not always necessarily true, because as clever as he still is a human being. And it is a brush, it's not a wand, right, Max?
Exactly.
And have you had that experience, Max?
Yeah, of course, but we all have bad days, right? So
I actually love correcting color for that reason. They all think you're a god.
Are you known for correcting color? Is that what
I am, yes. I do all the corrections in the city.
And what is the thing you correct the most?
Bad highlights. Bad highlights, bad ombres, spotty melts, a lot of people doing their own color, which I don't judge because I get it. Yeah.
Well, they saw a YouTube video, therefore they can, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like going back to those reels, it takes me a good hour and a half to edit a 1 minute reel when that service took me like 4 hours. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not real. And the sad thing about that is that for youngsters coming into our industry, they think that is a reality because they don't have a reference point of it being any different. And that's really quite concerning. You'll notice that I've measured several times through this haircut. I'm now going to come through and cross-check. And it is round through here, so I've got to be mindful not to square out my back. But I'm just going to bring this hair up this way and just look at how my line is flowing through. And if there's anything to do, then obviously I will do it. And if not, then I move on. But the cross-check is very important. And you can see that it is very, 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 very round. Very, very round. So that is my back. And the back is actually working out quite nicely here. So I'm just going to come back and focus in a little bit more so you have a better shot of that. I think it's a throat lozenge moment, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
We're getting to a commercial break.
Misty made a comment to you, Viv. She said she did this cut on a client last week, and she just noticed watching you that she could have taken more out to match the perimeter. She let it drop out and had weight, and now she can see the difference.
Yeah. Oh, I not only put a throat lozenge in my mouth, I put hair in my mouth. Oh, that's really nice. Right, okay. So now we're going to, yes, so yeah. That lightness and that softness is so important. Now, who wears this is important too. Oh my gosh, I really put a lot of hair in my mouth. Ooh. You know, this is, it, on a mature lady, this could look very, you gotta be careful. When you take something like this and possibly put it on a mature lady, that it doesn't look dated, because age can date something. You could put this on a young person and they would make it look really cool and hipster. But you've got to be careful as to how that person wears it. So when I'm working with a mature client, I modify. The number one thing, as a woman ages, she becomes more masculine. And obviously, as the face shape changes, if they don't have a strong jawline, we've got to be very, very careful of softness, pretty. Where do they need the lift? Where do they need the volume? And you've got to be able to customize all of these hairstyles to work for the age. And there are things that a young person can get away with, but as we get older, we can't. And it's just the fact of life because of gravity. And it's not that I'm prejudiced or anything like that. It's like, no. You know, every age has its beauty. There is beauty in every single age when it's put together well, and being the best version of yourself versus being somebody else. So I think that's really important. Now, this hairstyle should look good with nothing done to it. So you can see now I've got the softness coming through here. It's just got a really cool effect in the back. I'm just going to come through the center, and I'm actually asking myself right now, how should I dry this? It would be brilliant, natural, just air dried. Definitely would. I've got now this nice lead in the top. So let's just recap. I twisted a few pieces in the very, very front. Twisted a few pieces in the front just to get the softness. I then facial framed through here, all the way through, and I over-directed, and I took very long strokes, over-directing everything forward into here. Everything forward, so that we get this lovely soft effect all the way through here, right? Then from there, I then took out the section at the ear and pulled that out so the hair traveled like a box, and therefore all of the weight through here was removed. And so therefore when it collapses down, there's all of this lightness through here. So I pulled this out, I came forward, and this hair, and the reason I didn't start at the front was I was trying to be mindful of not compromising the fringe. I didn't want this to end up too short. So I started here and I brought that section back. because this is actually a little bit longer here than here. And then from there, I over-directed and I walked around to the center back and then did the same on the other side. I cross-checked. And so now when I look through the top of this hairstyle to do my cross-check, I have a little bit more length at the very tippy top. So it's a longer interior and it is lighter on this region through here. And I think that I'm good. I think I'm done. I'm good to go. So I'm going to figure out my blow drying method and whether I'm going to use a flat iron. And let's just bring Max back in. Yeah. All right. Okay. Vicky, any questions that you have? We're just going to dance. I'm going to go get my broom. It's about time I went to fly. We're just going to go somewhere.
Does anybody else have any questions?
This is the best broom.
The chat.
It's rubber. It's a rubber broom. I love it.
My first boss used to have one of those.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really good. You know, my husband's the chef in the family, and I'm the cleaner. And I take great pride in my cleaning. And I love the rubber broom. So I'm going to do a commercial now. Oh, and I'm also going to do a quick shout out to Theraflu. Oh, and I've got honey, lemon, ginger, and cayenne in here.
Good girl.
Oh, it's very good. So I cut off a lot of hair. There's a lot of hair I cut off. So how do you describe this? I mean, we haven't spoken about the consultation, and obviously for me in my world, the consultation is everything, because how successful we are is all about the consultation. And as we're kind of go on our journey today, and we're kind of like shift gears a little bit. First of all, before I shift gears, does anyone have any questions about what I'm doing or what Max is doing? And I'm going to go to my little presentation.
Misty says she loves her rubber broom too.
She's got one as well. I love it. I love it. That's great. I'm just trying to find my presentation. Okay. Max, how's it going?
It's going.
Tell me more.
She's processing.
What did you put on the rest of it?
I did a kind of pearl toned level 9 demi-permanent gloss.
Nice.
Just to really kind of smoke out any of that yellow. I'm
looking forward to seeing this.
Are you finished, Max?
I'm done.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I'm going to have you guys help me here as we have a little chat about. 1 second. We have a little chat about something that I think will inspire everybody as I do my final styling. And I'm trying to. It's amazing when your brain isn't working. Gosh, I'm having such a senior moment. Right, okay, here we are. All right, so I'm going to I'm going to start drying the hair, but I wanted to have a conversation as a collective group about, I love this, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most difficult client of them all? Let's start there. Who for you is the most difficult client of them all, Max?
All of them. No. Um, I feel like the client that's not open to change, for me, is always the hardest.
Yes.
You know, and I've even had it to it, like it's like this crazy thing that happens, right? It's like you can do a makeover on somebody and make them look better, but if they're resistant to the change, it's like it almost, even if everyone tells them how great they look, they just want their hair back to the way it was, which is usually ugly, you know, like, so it's like really, I think really getting them to shift their mindset is key. And I think that's one of the most difficult things to do because, you know, a lot of people have been wearing their hair the same way forever. So it's like a security blanket for them.
Vicky, how is it for you?
There is a few different personalities that are difficult. But I would say, yes, I agree. The ones who are very stuck in their ways and don't want to change, even though it's no longer modern or trendy or doesn't really suit them anymore. And then also, I would say the ones who want to take over the entire appointment and tell you exactly how to do everything. Do you want to just do it yourself? Here is the scissors and the color bowl, and you can just leave me money on my station when you're done.
Yeah.
I love the one that says, oh, well, I went to cosmetology school.
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah. All right.
And they ring your bell, don't they just? So let's talk about the visionary. And I'm going to just go to a fuller screen so people can see what I'm doing, but we can still hear you guys, all right? So visionary, to me, that's what I always have strived to be as a hairdresser. And when I'm a visionary, I will stand a stronger chance of attracting a client who is a visionary. And that is like where I want to ultimately be. If you have clients who have vision, they are not the difficult client that we just spoke to. How does that feel for you, Max, the visionary?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more visionaries, you know, but every now and again you get someone. And the thing that I love about that particular client type is that it's almost it's more like a collaboration, you know, and it really gets the energy going, you know, not just for you and the client, but I think that sort of energy actually impacts the entire salon.
Yes.
And people feel it, and it kind of, people start watching and they're like, well, I want to do something different, you know. So it is it's very infectious.
Yes. Vicky, how is that for you, working to be a visionary?
I would say that actually probably 70% of my clientele is visionary. Yeah, I'm just I really like to do new things and try new things. And sometimes they'll bring me pictures and it'll just be good inspiration. And we just got to tailor it to match them. But yeah, I would say that a lot of my clients, especially now that I've been in your program too, even the new ones I'm attracting I do have a lot of visionaries.
So let's talk about these ones, the fence sitters, who I think are probably the most difficult because they're fear-based, worried about if they make that decision, the consequences of it could be something that they're not comfortable with. And so therefore they want it, but they don't, and they keep changing their mind. Max, how is that for you?
Yeah, I would say that's a good portion of most clients, that kind of come into the salon, at least here where I live. Again, it's like that, almost like that security blanket of, well, if I just stick with what I have and I don't take a risk, I'll be okay. So it's like it takes a little bit of a conversation to try to shift the mindset. And for me personally, I always try to have a couple different plans in mind, right? So like plan A will always be the big change. I'll suggest it. She'll probably, and I'm kind of going into it with her saying no, but then we kind of compromise with plan B, which might be more of a subtle change, but into a direction that's more, suitable for the face shape, lifestyle, etc.
Yeah. Vicky,
So
for you, how does that play out?
Yeah, you come in with the hard sell, and they're like, "Oh no, no, no." And then you say like, it's kind of like when you say, "What if I just do 10% with the razor?" And then they're like, "Yeah, okay." So it's kind of that same idea, right? Just to kind of come in strong, back off, but you are getting them to change, so it's not just like the same exact thing.
So I had a fence sitter this week. She came in, brand new client, filled out her consultation form. She was a 4 on current and a 4 on change.
Yeah.
So, and when I got talking to her, it was literally just she doesn't know how to do her hair. She doesn't really use products. She doesn't really have a style, like a styling regimen. So I think a lot of it was just she was uneducated on what to do with her hair. So, I relayered it. We gave her a nice long shag. I showed her how to do her fringe. I showed her what products I was using. And by the end, she totally loved it. And it was just like a slight change, but we planted the seed for a bigger change.
Great. Well done, right?
Yeah.
Well done. The resistor. I get plenty of resistors. I just wanted to actually tell you a story. Can you hear me okay over the blow dryer?
Yes.
Okay. I had a lady that I was working with in the UK. I gave her the consultation form, and she just looked at me and raised her eyes, and she said, "Really? You want me to fill this out?" I said, "Yes, please, so I may know a little bit more about you." She said, "What a waste of time." She said, "You hairdressers, you ask us what we want, and you never listen." And so I said, "Well, I'm not that type of hairdresser, and if you don't mind filling it out, blah, 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 blah." And she filled it out, and she was just a very unhappy, grumpy lady. And it was a really interesting journey, and she was so difficult, such a resistor, and she was so non-trusting because she brought into my space all of the challenges that she had working with other hairdressers. And she was sort of like, I wouldn't call her like a high-level model, but she was in a modeling agency. So obviously she had a lot of experience on jobs, and I was going to cut her hair. So she really gave me a hard time. And I said, "Listen, if I'm not the right person for you and you don't feel comfortable with me, I can't do your hair." I said, "This is a partnership." And I said, "If you're not part of this, then it's going to affect my confidence, and I won't feel my best for you, etc., etc." And she said, "Oh, well," she said, "I know I'm being difficult." I said, "Maybe I'm not your person then." I said, maybe it should be, somebody else type of thing." And she said, "Oh, no. No." And then I went over the whole consultation, right? And long story short, she loved her hair. She actually walked out with she was like this, like really like happy. And I was like, I don't get it. And she then was very demonstrative and really like joyful. And I was like, wow, what just happened here? And I thought, when I said to her, listen, I don't think we're a good fit. And if you don't believe in me, then I should not be touching your hair. And also I'm losing my confidence right now by what's happening. That was very profound, to be that honest, right? And that was the game changer for me. And that became very, very profound. Max, resistors for you. Let's find out what it is for you.
Honestly, just getting them over the fear of change is, it can be quite challenging, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of, for lack of a better word, hand-holding that you sometimes have to do with that particular kind of client, right?
Yes.
And a lot of times it's baby steps.
Yes. Yeah. What is your strategy, Vicky?
I mean, I think it's great that you talked about sometimes they're not for us and sometimes we're not for them. And I think growing up, I always really took it personally because I just wanted to please everyone. And now that I'm older and, a little bit more into my career, it happens. Like, we're human beings and sometimes we just don't connect with people. And it's okay to tell them no. It's okay to say maybe there's somebody else for you and even offer somebody else for them. I feel like at this point in my career, I don't want to dread anybody in my schedule. So if I do, I just let them move on.
You let them go. Good love.
Go, yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, what we have is our in kind of going back to our notes here. We've got our visionary, our fence sitter, and our resistor. So, the know-it-all client needs to be in control. That's a really interesting client because, again, they are a little bit of a resistor. And they've got to be in control. So for myself, when I'm looking at this type of person, they do not trust. That's the number one thing. We are here in my teaching, we are so strong about the consultation and who really is the values of that client. We're so big on that. And so if I haven't won that person through that consultation and shown that I am not only listening, but I have expert advice, if I haven't won them there and they're a know-it-all and so on and so forth, and if I can't get them to work with me, I won't do their hair. I would just simply say, we're the wrong fit. Let me make a recommendation to somebody else who I think would be more of a right fit for you. I'm happy to make a phone call and make sure that you're taken care of because I am not that person. And it's really drawing that boundary. Otherwise, it becomes abusive. What does that mean for you, Max?
Oh, I'm right there with you. So it's like you really have to tread lightly with that client. And kind of the way I try to sort of check that situation out of the gate, I'll be like, hey, Mary, do you go to the doctor and tell him that he's going to remove your appendix and then you're going to sew yourself up yourself? And she's like, well, no. And then, so I'm like, then could you please try and sort of trust this process with me as opposed to directing the entire service? And, I think one of the hardest things to do is to say no, but anytime I've ever experienced a client like that and have sort of lost control of the situation, it's always ended really badly for me.
Yeah.
So like now I just don't even dink around with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either we're in it together or we're not.
Yeah, and that's where I think a consultation form, the one that we use, is so powerful, because there's a difference in when somebody fills out a form without you present, and that you're just looking at their results, versus just a one-to-one. Because when they're by themselves answering the form, that conversation is with themselves. It's not with us, and there's no argument there. Because they are just having that little journey. Then our wisdom is to then take those ideas that they put there or how they've responded and be able to go, okay, so based on that, this is what we have, right? And so that's where it becomes very profound. So my whole goal, the know-it-all client, if my consultation has not done its job, then I probably am setting myself up to fail, because this person, if you gave them a $5 bill, they would complain about the color. So, that's where I see that. Next one, indecisive client. I always think they're fear-based. They want it. We already spoke about the fence sitter, but how does that play out for you, Vicky?
These are the ones that have had past trauma with hairstylists.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just trying to figure out what it is exactly that they're afraid of. And then I will talk around it so that I can prove that I can be trusted. It's just like some people are afraid of the razor. So, I'll explain to them, well, there is a certain way to hold it. There's a certain way to use it. I've been highly trained on it. You have nothing to worry about, but we can take a test strand. I can show you, and if you're still not into it, it's okay. We can do it with scissors. I just really try to educate this client.
Yes. Great. Excellent. Playing it safe just to trim, or playing it safe just the same as usual with the color. Max, for you. Oh, we lost Max.
It's like, where did Max go?
Where did Max go? Vicky.
I have a couple of these too, and some of them are just really stuck in their ways and they really love their length. So we will just give them a trim, but sometimes I'll show them different ways to style it, so that they're not bored, or plant seed. Like this length would look really, really good on you. And I show them in the mirror, or, because I don't know, if I get bored, they're probably really bored. So
yes, for sure. Absolutely. Okay. So playing it safe, again, that's fear-based, and you have to talk to the fear. You have to talk to the pros and cons. What if we do nothing today? Will you be happy? What if we do something more dramatic today? Will you be happy? You can play the what if, and you always have to know the why, right? By the way, I'm just putting some oil into the hair. I did not put any styling product into the hair. You can see the front of this hair has some high lift areas, and it's really quite dry and parched. And I also haven't completely dried the hair. I want the hair to have its naturalness a little bit through there. So you can see that what we have is, we just go back there. We're going to do the show and tell with Max in a moment. What you can see is we've got this lovely soft effect through here, right?
Looks gorgeous.
Doesn't it look cute?
Yeah, I love it. I love the softness. I love the texture.
Yeah, she turned out really pretty. And I think this peekaboo color just around the facial frame is really nice, because you've just got that little something going on. It doesn't have to be the whole head. I was walking through Manhattan on Saturday. I must have walked about 5 miles at least, from the east side to the west side, from uptown to downtown. It was quite a journey. And I was just looking at backs of heads, and I did not see. I saw so many really over-processed ombre balayages that just looked like dry parched hair. And it was like, I saw so much long hair. And it was like, I didn't see any fabulous looking women. I did not see any amazing hair. And I just saw hair that had just been, when you see it in a photograph and it's beautifully lit, balayages and ombres can look really nice. But when you see them out in real life, it just looks like dried, over processed hair. And all I was looking at was thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love to put a glaze over the entire head of your hair and just take everything down. And like, hair's meant to shine, right? Isn't that a concept, that hair's meant to shine? Well, thank you so much, Keon, for your compliment. I appreciate that. Stacey, welcome. Authenticity is a powerful frequency. I love that. I love that. Right. So anyway, it was just very, very kind of interesting. And it's like, why do we not just get into some interesting color placement? Why does it have to be always, you know, what we're seeing in a photograph? A photograph is nothing more than an inspiration, because it's so difficult to copy a photograph, especially when you don't have the same canvas. It's really like impossible. So, you know, you take your idea and you take the inspiration from that, and that's really basically it. So we've got Max back, but we're just going to finish up our little inspiration part here. Here we have playing it safe. We've spoke about that. So the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the unrealistic client and the photo reference. It's not real. Vicky.
It's funny because this happens a lot. And like, it's funny how many of them don't really realize that it's not real, that it's photoshopped, or that it's been fixed, the color's been fixed in edit. So once again, just kind of educating them on it, and then showing them color that is kind of similar, but a little bit more realistic.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And then, so I think today that's our biggest problem: AI, retouched, filtered images, and then just the fact that it's so hard to copy. And generally speaking, when we see an amazing image somewhere, right, and it's got 1 million views, it's usually on a very beautiful person, and she's young, and she's got amazing hair. And now you have somebody who is not as young, not as amazing face shape wise, hair's not as great, and we're meant to copy it. It's like, are we crazy? Max, let's see your show and tell. Let's spotlight you. 1 second, let me just come to you and spotlight you. Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Let's see here. She's got this really
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
fun.
Yeah, really.
See it on the side. And we just really made her nice and icy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So you guys, imagine this. Imagine if she did have silver hair, and you just, you know, put little fine slices of something in it to just enhance it. It doesn't have to be a super strong color choice. It can be something that's actually more natural and close to her natural, but you know, not a lot of foils, not a lot of work, but you get a nice little, you know, focal point in the front with color.
It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Any questions, Vicky? Any questions that you may have?
Yeah, can you just show us again how you sectioned that, Max?
Sure. Let me grab a tail comb.
What is the most challenging part of this technique, Max? Is it the working out the pattern?
No, honestly, this is probably one of the easiest, but it's also too like tailoring it, you know, for that client, right?
Well, also the haircut. Let's talk about the haircut and how you're accenting things within the haircut, because surely the haircut's the thing that should be talking to us the most, right?
Yeah, you know, like our job as colorists is to paint the design or make that haircut sing, right?
Yes.
So if you guys look, I don't know if you can see this. Here's the narrow part of the triangles here. It gets wider here, and then the other one is going to go like that. So it's literally like a check mark or a chevron. And I can do, what I'll do is I'll create a head sheet that we can put in the product also. So just two, they touch, and that's it. Like I said, there's maybe, I did 15 foils total.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Kiana is wanting to know if she could use this color placement on a bob with no layers.
You can, but you may not see it. Because remember, it's like, we've got these shorter layers that spill over it. So if it's all one length, if they wear a deep side part, then yeah, you can see, you'll get the flash of color there. But it's really, I would say it's the most suitable for hair that's layered. And I just love that, like, if you move it around in different directions.
Yeah. I love when color spills like that.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And could you just go over the formulation again, please, Max?
Sure. In our triangles, I used a direct color, so non-oxidative colors, 3 different colors, a lilac, which was like a very, very pale kind of powdery purple, a pewter, which is like a light gray, and a denim blue. And I just alternated those like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 through each triangle. And then for her global application, I did a level 10 pearl or level 10 blue violet based gloss product with its dedicated developer, and processed it, everything for 20 minutes basically. And then rinsed, shampooed, treated, and styled. And I pre-treated this hair too because it was bleached. So I did 3 back-to-back restructuring treatments on it because, you know, for optimal hair color results, you require hair in optimal condition. So I think pre-treating the hair is very often overlooked when we're coloring, and that just helps you get your canvas even more evened out. So
Very pretty.
Thank you.
Very, 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 very pretty. So guys, just one more recap on my little girl, and we'll take some questions just to end. So again, we've got the little triangle that I took out in the center. I twisted and I razored. The little curtain fringe, the diagonal into a back, and the corner is in the center back. So it's not about the corner at the front. The corner's here. It's round. And all of the layers that are going through here started this way and layered around, over directing in the back. And then the final section in the back, I brought it out because of a round. Want to make sure that it's completely rounded, right? Round. And just keeping it nice and soft. I've let this air dry in the back. I think the natural texture is really very, very sweet. I think it would be cute around the face and also taken away. Who is this for? I think it's a young look, but you can certainly adapt it to a more mature client by making it less extreme. A shorter back, for example, and just a little less extreme, because you've got to keep all the softness there, and that's very important. This hairstyle is definitely a wash and wear, and it also would look really great poker straight, and also with a little scrunch. So it's a very convertible hairstyle. You'll notice I didn't really go back into the haircut. There's no detailing to do. I cut the shape, but I spent a lot of time really getting my perimeter exact, and looking at the personality of the bleached hair versus the hair that's not colored, and then just working it through, designing as I go. My razor, everything about that was a quiet elbow. My elbow was down, and everything was kept very, 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 very soft and very, very light. So that was a very important part of this whole process. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and I just want to bring back my team and thank them, of course. Thank you, Max, for doing such a beautiful color job, of course. Yeah. Vicky, thank you for being with us and for asking questions and adding richness of your experience. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
oh yeah, absolutely. And guys, I hope you've enjoyed this session today, and please share with your friends, and we look forward to our next time together. Thank you so much, and bye for now.